Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha Television, wherein we talk about all the aspects of India's fight against COVID-19, specifically the technological interventions as to how technology is helping us win this war against this particular virus. And today we're going to talk about one aspect which is helping our healthcare system. In fact, an attempt to decongest the healthcare system, which seems to be overburdened right now by the patients who need care as far as COVID-19 infection is concerned. And that aspect is telemedicine or teleconsulting. Now, what exactly is telemedicine and how can it help the patients, regular patients who are at home right now due to lockdown, due to social distancing norms, and they want some opinion from the doctors on their condition? How can that happen? What are the various ways, what are the benefits here and limitations as well, if any? And also in the post-COVID scenario, how can telemedicine further help the healthcare system? So for all this, we're joined by three important guests here with me. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Dr. Murthy Ramilla. He is the Secretary of Telemedicine Society of India. We also have with us Dr. Imran Noorani. He is the consultant psychologist at Gangaram Hospital in Delhi, and he's one of the doctors who uses the means of telemedicine or teleconsulting with his patients. So we'll understand as to how the experience is not only for him, but for his patients as well. And we are also joined by Ms. Urvashi Prasad. She's the public policy specialist with the Niti Aayog, working on all these aspects in terms of policy and guidelines as well. Let me begin with you, Dr. Murthy, and let's try and understand what exactly do we mean by telemedicine or teleconsulting? What is the concept all about?
Good evening, all. And it is very nice of the Rajya Sabha TV to conduct this program in this pandemic situation of COVID, which is troubling all the people across the globe and in India more so. Before we get into the definition of telemedicine, I would like to just say our Indian system believes in Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu and Arogyam Mahabhagyam. What they mean is we wish the well-being of all the worlds, and health is the best wealth. This was told by our ancestors, but not really recognized or realized by us until the COVID has struck down on upon us. And the mere lack of disease is not health, but well-being in physical, mental, and social aspects is the true health, the Indian system believes. So the healthcare involves prevention, maintenance, and management, and telemedicine luckily helps in all the three phases. Now I will get into the definition of telemedicine. Leaving the telemedicine definition or a textbook definition, what it means is when the patient and the doctor are separated by a distance. That means they are at different locations. The process of healthcare delivery, diagnosis, healthcare education, or exchange of any valid information for a diagnosis and treatment, including prevention. All this helps in treating the patient when he is away from a doctor or when he is deprived of the required medical facilities. That is telemedicine. It has two aspects. One is tele, one is medicine. Medicine helped or propelled by the tele services, communication services, is the telemedicine.
Okay. So that's the concept out there, to try and go ahead and ensure that those who need the consultation from health professionals do get in time without physically going ahead and meeting the healthcare professionals as well. Let me bring in Urvashi here. Urvashi, the other day when we were talking about the digital health ecosystem, telemedicine was a very important aspect of it, and that was something which was pointed out by you and the other experts on the panel there as well. If we look at telemedicine specifically in detail, then this is the right time. It has been there for quite some time. Telemedicine has been there, but this is the right time to explore the full potential of this particular concept.
Yes, absolutely. I think as a concept per se, as you rightly say, it's not something completely new to us, but in getting the kind of legitimacy and also the kind of scale that we need in our country, that's where the challenge has been, which will hopefully get sort of moved along, because of the pandemic. It's an unfortunate reason, but perhaps this will be one of the positive outcomes. I think what we've done from the government side, the Ministry, Niti Aayog, and also the Board of Governors, which replaces the Medical Council of India, put together a set of guidelines just in the last week of March on how all aspects of these teleconsultations and telemedicine can be run. I would say this is sort of a first level of guidelines. I think we've also got a lot of inputs from practitioners already that these are aspects that we can further improve upon or further add to. So I think that is something that will happen. But as a first step, I think it's very important because we are short of healthcare resources. We are short of doctors, we are short of specialists, especially in the rural and remote areas. And while we are even more burdened during a pandemic, even without a pandemic, getting access to good quality advice, healthcare advice, medical advice in these areas is often very difficult. So I think this is an important move from the government side. I think by no means is it sort of the perfect set of guidelines at this point. I think they will evolve. But I think just the first step, something like this coming out, is very important to give this whole concept legitimacy and strength within our country's context.
Okay, we'll come to the guidelines part as well, and definitely we'd like to have the views from Dr. Noorani and Dr. Murthy there as well. But Dr. Noorani, coming to you on the first important issue here, that is how both the doctor and the patient are taking up this particular concept of telemedicine, or rather reacting to it, because you yourself use different ways and means of connecting with patients, be it via video conferencing platforms or via a telephonic method as well. So how's your experience, and what is the reaction of the patients as well? They must be wary in the initial days or in the initial stage.
Right. So definitely, see, the delivery system for us is we run a development center in which a developmental pediatrician is there. I'm a psychologist. Then we have a lot of rehabilitation professionals involved as well. At first, when this COVID scenario happened, nobody was having any idea how to reach out to the patients. We especially deal with children with special needs, for example, autism, learning disorders, and other children with different kinds of neurodevelopmental disorders. For a parent, obviously, this is a concern that they will not be getting the access to the services in person with us. So our trouble was that if we can connect to them through this telehealth consultations, and will it be successful or not? You are absolutely right that most of the parents in the initial scenario or initial phases were a little hesitant. That, see, we have never done ourselves the therapy to the child, or we have never done it ourselves. How are we going to do it online? But when we see for past 1.5 months almost, and it has given us, in fact, surprising results, that it has empowered the parents in turn so much, and we have excellent results in terms of therapeutic interventions. I think this has come up as one more wonderful model that which can be used for those patients, since we are stationed in Delhi, and we had patients from all over the world who are Indians who cannot afford the consultations outside also. Now they are also connecting with us again, and the different parts of the country, they are able to connect via video consultations and other our system. Our hospital has developed a mechanism of this telehealth and telemedicine, wherein we are able to reach, wherein we are able to maintain the data for these patients, and we are able to give them timely consultations sitting at the comfort of their houses. I think we should be heavily thinking about it after the lockdown also, which you pointed out, that we should be reaching out to people, because not everybody is capable of coming from a particular state to Delhi to get the access to these kinds of super specialized services. It saves them financially also, it saves them. And then definitely it is a big boost for them that they are not disconnected with the best of the services in the center.
Okay, so it definitely is a concept which needs to be scaled up in a post-COVID scenario as well. Dr. Noorani, on the guidelines aspect, as Urvashi was pointing out, the ones which have been brought out by the government, are they on the right path, or there is a room for improvement? As Urvashi was saying, that these are first set of guidelines. Obviously, there will be another one coming as well. Any specific areas you believe need to be focused upon?
Definitely. We have to, the initial guidance, everybody is working day in and out these days to get to the patients, give them comfort at their home. The government of India is definitely working towards the same in terms of telehealth and telemedicine. I would definitely suggest that we should be catching in all the other allied professionals into this telehealth and telemedicine, not only the medical doctors, because there's a huge need of mental health professionals. There's a need of psychologists. There is a need of clinical rehabilitation professionals who can be a part of this telemedicine thing, which I think we have missed on right now because we are only focusing on the medical doctors right now and who can deliver the services. If the other professionals, para-professionals, and allied professionals, I'll definitely request ma'am to take it into consideration, get other allied health professionals into this domain so that all the services are provided to a patient, be it medical services, be it the therapeutic interventions, along with some defense or along with some judicial immunity to the healthcare professionals.
Okay, so the legal aspect also needs to be taken out. That's what you're pointing out. But that's quite a good suggestion, Urvashi, out there in terms of bringing in other set of healthcare professionals, be it para or allied there as well. Let me bring in Dr. Murthy here on his suggestions on the guidelines aspect. Dr. Murthy, would you like to add on to what Dr. Noorani is saying in terms of guidelines which have been put in place and what more further can be done?
Yes, very much. We are all happy from the Telemedicine Society of India, and which is a body of so many divergent groups like doctors, medical, paramedical, and then the entrepreneurs who are supplying the software and hardware systems for telemedicine. Definitely, this is a welcome step and a first step. And as confirmed by the ministry and the MCI, we are happy that they are open to more suggestions. And we are also in the process of collecting and compiling the suggestions, particularly about the classification of the drugs, more detailed classification of the drugs and the prescription mechanism, and then the data storage and periods, etc. They need some more clarity and micro level definitions.
Okay, some more clarity and micro level definitions out there. Urvashi?
Niti Aayog side, whether it was the National Medical Commission bill, whether it's the Ayush reforms that we are doing, or we are working on a cadre of nurse practitioners as well. The idea very much is to also bring up other cadres alongside your medical doctors. They will always be critical, but you do need other cadres. So I think as we see more of that, we should definitely see the scope of these guidelines also getting expanded. Because we'll have the protocols in place for training of these other categories of workers, for monitoring. So I think we will definitely see the scope going in that direction. The other point, I think, as Dr. Murthy said, the more some more specific conditions to be looked at a more micro level, like mental health. We've spoken to the mental health practitioners, and I think there, how the consultations exactly work out, how they then translate into prescriptions, into getting medicines. That has sort of challenges of its own, which might be different from a lot of other diseases where you have a simple fever, cough, or cold. So I think we're going to then have to also get into more micro levels, specific conditions like mental health and others. So yeah, I think these are suggestions which are very, very valid.
Okay, micro level aspect will also have to be looked at. And since you're talking about micro level aspect, Urvashi, let's also come to this thing that, from the urban setting, we will also have to move towards the rural setting as well, and also look at this aspect, how this form of consultation, that is telemedicine, can be further expanded there, because that is an area where even our health infrastructure needs, a bit of a push here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like again, Dr. Noorani was saying that a lot of our specialists, a lot of our facilities have been concentrated in urban areas, and this is something that has happened over the years. We obviously need to, ramp up access. So I think the health and wellness centers is one thing that we are looking at very closely, because these are to be set up at, every sort of roughly 5,000 people. You're supposed to have one of these centers. Now, Punjab, for instance, even during the pandemic, has actually tried to roll out telemedicine at its health and wellness centers. Now, that's much closer to people. That's not just from the urban centers, but also bringing it closer to people in rural areas or in more remote areas. So I think as this network of health and wellness centers expands, this could be a very good way to also expand our reach of telemedicine closer to people in rural areas as well.
Okay, closer to people towards rural areas. That is one aspect out there. Let's, we've spoken about how beneficial this form of consultation, that is telemedicine or telehealth, is. Let's also look at the limitation aspect, because we are, this particular concept is evolving. We're learning on the go, both all people involved, including the patients as well. So, Dr. Noorani, let me begin with you. In terms of limitations, where do you see a scope for improvement in terms of the way this entire mechanism functions along with the help of technology?
Yes. Limitation is, as Ms. Urvashi clearly mentioned, that the people who are not having access to the services, which the internet is not available, the connectivity is not great, and we will not be able to reach to a large chunk of population over there. And they definitely need equal services as are needed in the center of the country. So what we should, this is one of the limitations. Second limitation may be that the psychological mindset of a patient. Okay, some of the patients, for example, mental health services, that unless and until they are not in person with a therapist or in person with a psychiatrist or in person with a psychologist, they feel this is called the placebo, that half of the disease is already over once you reach on the hospital bed. So that can be one of the limitations which we have to bust these myths that definitely nothing can replace in-person consultations. But at the time of COVID or at the time of epidemic like these, we should be absolutely psychologically barrier-free for having the access to these services and for sensitization of the patients as well as updation of the patients, telling them that, look, this is also an alternative method since we have been conditioned for in-person consultations only for long. That is the reason you might be a little hesitant, which I have been doing for past 1 month. And for the first few sessions, they were like, no, not happening. And then after 15 days, they're like, this is the only thing happening. Now, even if the lockdown is over, we will be continuing with the online services. So I was also surprised that they are very happy that they are getting the services at home. So limitations in reaching out to everybody, limitations in sensitizing the population, and limitations in reaching out through advertisements that yes, the health ministry is doing it and it is available.
Okay. Dr. Murthy, your views on that, limitations, or the other way of putting it as the key focus areas where we need to work upon to make it, much better.
Yeah, though what he said are some of the limitations, but the good part of this is earlier, though the Telemedicine Society of India and other practitioners have been following telemedicine in India for almost 19 years. The good part of the telemedicine guidelines is they are now allowing a patient to doctor direct consultation. So provided there is a minimum internet access or even voice service is also allowed as per the telemedicine practice guidelines. So even if a voice call is available, that is making it possible for the patient to reach a doctor.
For example, in Odisha, there is a telemedicine helpline number which people can avail of.
Yes, that's what actually the model which has been initiated by many states after the issue of the telemedicine guidelines, and which will definitely see beyond the COVID, as doctor has mentioned, beyond the COVID, this will become a norm of healthcare delivery, which we have been driving for 1.5 decades, like work from home for the IT people.
Right.
That should really pave a good way, both for the patients as well as for the doctors. Particularly when you see the government medical facilities, they are overcrowded and they look very crowded on the corridors and everything. Just for a 2 minutes consultation or for an opinion, people throng to the hospital, which definitely they don't have to do. So all these facilities will help in propagating the use of telemedicine, and definitely the fence sitters, those who are aware of the telemedicine but slightly aware of their safety and security in the legal and custodial aspects, they are now freed and then they are open thanks to the ministry's issue of the guidelines.
Okay, so the
always there is a scope for improvement, but definitely it is a very good first step.
Okay, a first step has been taken out there. Urvashi, to start the look at the conclusion part here in terms of the way in future this particular form of consultation can change the nature of professional consultations, not only with the medical professionals but with the allied professionals in healthcare system as well, something which Dr. Noorani and you also and Dr. Murthy also is pointing out should be part of this overall process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, sort of in conclusion, I think I would say that because of, this pandemic and what we might see in terms of a change in our behaviors, I think what we will see is a behavior change, which is always difficult to bring about. It's always slow. But hopefully after this it'll get a fillip, because we have a new way of living our life, we have a new way of doing everything, and telemedicine can feed into that very well. I mean, what I also hope is that it'll be early adopters of this will be people who perhaps today do not access the health system as much. Women, for instance, who might not actually go to health facilities physically, might find it quite convenient to just on the phone to speak to somebody. Or there are certain health conditions which have a lot of stigma attached in our society. But now, if you have the ability to just call up someone, you don't actually have to straight away go physically. It might actually put you a little bit at ease to sort of have that first interaction with the health system. So I think there might also be certain groups in which we might see this as a very welcome measure, and they actually might be early adopters of some of these things. But of course, as I said, guidelines we'll have to keep evolving. We have to keep improving upon them based on the experiences we get from states, because as we know, India, there's no one size fits all model. Every state will customize these, will have its own model. So we'll have to keep incorporating these guidelines into these inputs into our overall guidelines. And I think the last point would be on the data. The data that we get from this, how do we integrate it into our overall patient records that we're trying to work towards? How do we ensure the privacy, the security, all those sorts of concerns? I think that will also need to be focused on as we go forward.
Okay, so data integration is also a very important and significant part there. Last comments from you, Dr. Noorani, as a medical practitioner who is working on or via different ways and means of telemedicine, what is a word of advice from you which can go to other in your profession, be it doctors or the allied healthcare workers, and specifically the patients, the common person, because the hesitation part still remains out there?
Yeah, being a mental health professional, I will definitely take it as a wonderful welcome step from everybody who has started with this telemedicine services. That, as Ms. Urvashi said, that there is a lot of stigma associated with a lot of problems that people don't come up. People don't come up until they are diagnosed with depression, until they are diagnosed with other developmental disorders or other personality disorders. This is a simple method that you just have to pick up a phone, ring up the phone, and get your services, get your wonderful services at the comfort of your home. Don't hesitate. Don't wait and watch. Waiting and watching, for example, for a 2-year-old who is not speaking meaningfully, that when will the lockdown be over, then we will get the services, access to services, is actually wasting every single day of your child. Please look out for the better services who are there to help you out. Assess the services. We are not saying that just go to the services and start doing it. Assess the services on the basis of your intelligence. But again, no wait and watch. There are services available as good as in-person services right now. Let us get the hold of these services as soon as possible. Mental health, being upset, being anxious, being depressed are the common symptoms which have been referred by NIMHANS and American Psychological and Psychiatric Associations. So we should be taking care of each other right now. We should be taking care of those who we feel that they need a little more help and direct them to these telehealth services.
Okay, definitely. And not only about mental health, but other aspects as well, as Urvashi pointed out and Dr. Murthy pointed out. Everybody who needs any consultation right now from any medical professional, there are ways and means to go ahead and seek those answers from these professionals via means of telemedicine or telehealth, be it via video conferencing or just a telephone call to the professional concerned. Lockdown or social distancing norms are not an obstacle for you and me to take care of our health. The health professionals are out there, they are available, and there is a way, that is telemedicine. And in the future, as our panelists are pointing out, this particular concept will definitely go a long way in decongesting our healthcare infrastructure, healthcare system, and further adding more value. Save time, save energy, save a lot of hassle as well in terms of going physically to that particular doctor. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha television and keep following all the norms or guidelines as far as lockdown is concerned and social distancing also. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.